You know, as a songwriter, I often deal with language from the perspective of respect. I deal with it because every word to me has a significant meaning. Every word to me has a significant placement that just makes everything flow perfectly for whatever the mission is or whatever the outcome needs to be. Unfortunately, as an American songwriter and a black songwriter, words have now become bastardized to me. Words have now become something that people think that we can just take a word and change the word into whatever the fuck we want the word to be. We can make words that have specific meanings mean something else because we might admire the culture. We might admire the people who are using the language. We might admire and uphold and praise the values of whoever is saying whatever they're saying. Unfortunately, that is something that we are moving completely far away from. And I noticed that we're moving completely far away from it when people decided that words that meant specific things can now be broadcast into the general atmosphere and the general population instead of being the vocabulary and the semantics and the linguistics and describing the characteristics of certain pockets of whatever that pocket of that culture was. Welcome to this channel. My name is Nayim Edwards, and I am your host. And today, I just want to talk about how if a word can mean anything, then the word means nothing at all. The reason that I want to talk about this is because things are starting to enter the general lexicon that shouldn't be into the general lexicon because they belong to certain facets and certain parts of certain cultures. And not saying that you can't say what you want. I'm a 1A and 2A advocate 100%. But we have to stop taking words from other places and trying to apply them to our lives as something that would actually describe us when we know that's not the accurate description of whatever we're trying to say. I would like to go all the way back and think about the first person I realized as me. I'm just saying the first person I realized was taking words and trying to make them into something that's not an accurate description of whatever it was. And I get it, but it just wasn't accurate. And I'm talking about Tupac when Tupac had his acronym for Thug Life. And he said Thug Life meant, let me see, because I want to, maybe I can just put him up. He said, the hate you give, little infants fucks everybody. Unfortunately, as much of a Tupac fan as I am, especially as a child, my favorite rappers was Wayne, 50 Cent, Tupac, and Nas. And Jadakiss. I mean, I have a list. And Ghostface Killer. But when Tupac said, the hate you give, little infants fucks everybody, I understood he was trying to say, we're you calling us thugs and it's your fault that we're thugs. You calling us thugs and you're saying we live thug lives, but you are the reason that we live a thug life. And even though that was true, the way that this like the way he went about this, I feel like was wrong because thug had a very specific meaning, and there is no way to take the word thug and flip it to something that you can't, like, words have a meaning. When a racist or somebody calls you a thug, they're calling you something very specific. It's We have a lot of words nowadays that they say in order to say nigger, but they're saying it in a way where you don't get offended. Instead of me just calling you a nigger, I'll say you woke. Instead of just calling you a nigger, I'll call you Black Lives Matter. Instead of calling you a nigger, I'll say, what's the other one they use? A social justice warrior, SJW. Instead of calling, if you're a nigger lover, you're a social justice warrior. If I'm a white racist or I'm a racist in general, I'll say all lives matter. This is that is how we got here today. Motherfuckers like Tupac taking words and spinning them into something that they're trying to get it away from and get the context away from, instead of saying you can call me whatever the fuck you want to. You make sure you able to defend yourself when we cross paths, instead of doing that. And I'm bringing this up because now we have situations where, and I'm only gonna take maybe 2 to 3 words. Yes, I'm gonna take 3 words because it's the easiest three, and anybody that's listening to this will be able to understand. We have 3 words that are now in everyday people's lives that have no business being in everyday people's lives. The number one word is trap. We all know what trapping is. Trapping is selling dope, selling drugs, street nigga shit. Real street nigga shit. Not whatever else, motherfucker. And that's another phrase, but I don't have time to go through all of that because I don't want this to be super crazy because we could sit here for an hour. But trap, people have taken trap, which is selling dope, selling drugs, being outside and selling drugs, illegal substance commerce. They have, or trapping, if you want to make it a verb, they have decided that they like trap so much, and the word trap has infected the lexicon so much that they're going to apply that to their regular life. So they'll tell a person that is going to work at Burger King that's working at Burger King is my trap for right now. I'm trapping today, working at Burger King. That's not trapping. You work at Burger King. You wouldn't tell a librarian they're in the trap. You wouldn't tell a doctor at a ER that is the trap. You wouldn't tell a person who works at a warehouse that is a trap. That is not trapping. You work at a warehouse. You are a doctor. You work at a library. You have a job at a grocery store. I'm not even calling nobody job bullshit. I'm saying that your place of employment is not the trap if you are not in a trap house, if you are not on the streets doing illegal substance commercial activity. That is not what trapping is. Unfortunately, we're in this space where we have allowed people, and I'm blaming the songwriters, and I'm blaming the musicians, and I'm blaming people who do interviews, and instead of wanting to be, I don't want to say, instead of being honest about what they say and being honest about what's going on, they decide to say, anything could be a trap. If you go into your job, that's the trap, because you want to appeal to regular everyday people. But the problem is, regular everyday people don't know what trapping is. Regular everyday people have no experience other than what you told them or what they saw on a documentary or what they heard somebody tell them. They don't know what it's like firsthand to have illegal substance and do commercial activities with them. They don't know what it's like to go into an actual trap house. The experience is different than actually having somebody just read you something. You can read a book and regurgitate in the book, but until, theory is nice, but practice is better, The second word is gangster. Being a good man is not a gangster. Being a good woman, you're not a gangster bitch. Taking care of your children is not gangster. Going to college and graduating and never getting in any trouble, that is not gangster. Fucking making sure your children get the best education they can, that's not gangster. Giving a fuck about your family, that's not gangster. Getting rich, that's not gangster. Building wealth, that's not gangster. Nothing positive should be associated with the word gangster, because there's nothing positive associated with the word gangster. People will tell you, the mob did this, the mob did that. That's the mob. The mob was not positive. There was nothing positive that came out the mob. There's no way to twist it. There's no way. We all know what the gangsters are, and you would be terrified if you actually had to, if you wasn't built to be with gangsters or be gangster or nothing like that, because we see how gangster motherfuckers really is, because they something as simple as just taking your punishment when it comes. Or you thinking that you're gonna do whatever you want to do, but nothing is gonna come of that. It's gonna show us how gangster you really are. You supposed to take your lick. You supposed to die. You supposed to go to jail. You supposed to get caught. You're supposed to do everything that comes with that lifestyle. You can't call yourself gangster because, yeah, I'm taking care of my family. I'm a gangster. No, you're just a man taking care of your family. You're just a woman taking care of your family. That's not gangster. You know what I'm saying? People has bastardized this word where everybody can think that because I'm doing good, being good is gangster. Actually, no, it's not. It's the total opposite. And the last word to wrap this up is the word pimp. That's a whole separate world. That's a whole, and all these words are associated with separate worlds and separate meanings. But being a pimp and hoe shit is a whole separate world. As a person over in this world, I have no business calling myself a pimp. Hoe really shouldn't be something that comes, if we talk about the real definition of a hoe or a real definition of what hoes are supposed to do, I have no business, you know, it's that doesn't apply to my life because I don't have that, I don't live that lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a difference between, women like me, women want to be around me, I make women comfortable, women want to will do whatever they got to do to try to get to me or whatever, versus like a hoe. Like, that is not a hoe. Just because bitches like me, I wouldn't say like hoes because they're not hoes. Like, that's not the same. Same thing is like the same situation. If women like me or women do like me and they want to be around me and they want to be my friend and they want to come over here and they want to, they'll shoot their shot. Don't matter what the situation is, wherever I'm at. I'm not calling myself a pimp because I'm not a pimp. I don't subscribe to that lifestyle. That's not my lifestyle. That is not, people liking me and people having an attraction to me is not indicative of me being a pimp. And people calling themselves a pimp because they can talk to multiple bitches at a time, or they can be with multiple bitches, or they have bitches that do stuff for them or would be willing to do stuff for them. That does not mean you are a pimp. That pimp and hoe are very specific terms for very specific universes, which is not the universe that we live in. Point blank, period. You could not stand beside just somebody that's known, let's just say Sharp or Bishop Don Juan, if you want to go all the way back. You wouldn't stand beside those people and equate yourself to one of them because you wouldn't. It's like, I know a whole lot about, let's just say, Figueroa or the Fig or the Blade. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you listen to an artist tell you something, or you listen to a certain type of music, or you watch a certain type of content, that does not mean you are that. I have a problem, or I had a problem a long time ago when I was a ghostwriter, and I would say, like, I wouldn't just be like, hey, I'm a ghostwriter, but I would be like, I'm ghostwriting, I'm a ghostwriter, or whatever. And then because people just like the way that it sound or it seemed cool to them, they would call themselves a ghostwriter. They would call themselves songwriters, but it's like, you don't do what I do, so you can't call yourself a songwriter if you have not written songs. It's just, it doesn't make sense. That's not your life. That's not your world. You are not a ghostwriter if you have not written songs for other people, or written songs, or written music, or did something for anybody that required writing that you did not put your name on, and you did not get public credit for that. That is, you are not a ghostwriter because, hey, you got to change that word to but. Yeah, don't say and, say but. It sounds better. That's not ghostwriting. That's not ghostwriting. And we have to take language serious. We have to know that a word that can mean anything is a word that does not have a fucking meaning, point blank, period. This is very important. Like, this is probably one of the most important videos that I've ever made in my life, because we are bastardizing language, point blank, period. Is we can't recover it. It's no way to, I don't know what the fuck that running water sound is, but Tupac is the reason that we even got into this, because he tried to spin something to make it positive, and that's the same shit that happens today. People do it all, you know, that push and pee shit. If you just watched the Gunna episode, that push and pee nonsense is like you trying to flip that into something else. That's not what that means. Not according to the people that are a part of that lifestyle. Thank y'all so much. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. We got video essays like this coming all week. That's all I'm doing this week is just essays. So, thank you for tuning in. My name is Nayim. I'm going